Conversion therapy is not an accepted medical practice. It is a discredited falsehood. Let's also be very clear that just as those who are heterosexual cannot be made to be LGBTQ, LGBT people cannot be made to be straight. Finally, in an attempt to do so, any attempt to do so causes extreme harm to Minnesotans. It leads to serious harm, depression, substance abuse, and suicide. Members, I think being passed out to your desks, if it hasn't been already, is what every single reputable professional organization has said about the research on this matter. The American Academy of Child Adolescent Psychiatry says it lacks scientific credibility and clinical utility. There's evidence that such interventions are harmful. The American Academy of Pediatrics says therapy directed specifically at changing sexual orientation is contraindicated since it can provoke guilt and anxiety. The American Association for Marriage and Family Therapy says we see no basis for reparative therapy. The American College of Physicians, the college opposes the use of conversion, reorientation, or reparative therapy for the treatment of LGBTQ persons. The American Counseling Association, the belief that same-sex attraction behavior and behavior is abnormal and in need of treatment is in opposition to the position taken by national mental health organizations. Its unproven nature of the treatment and the potential risks encourage us to take steps to minimize harm to clients. American Medical Association opposes the use of reparative or conversion therapy. The American Psychiatric Association, there is no published scientific evidence supporting the efficacy of reparative therapy. The potential risks of reparative therapy are great and include depression, anxiety, and self-destructive behavior. The American Psychoanalytic Association, the technique does not encompass purposeful attempts to convert, repair, change, or shift an individual's sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. The American Psychological Association resolves that same-sex sexual and romantic attractions, feelings, and behaviors are normal and positive variations of human sexuality. Opposes portrayals of sexual minority youths and adults as mentally ill, and that there is insufficient evidence to support the use of psychological interventions to change sexual orientation. Misrepresenting the efficacy of sexual orientation change efforts by promoting or promising change in sexual orientation. Anyways, they oppose that. The American School Counselor Association, they are not a sign of illness, mental disorder, or emotional problems. The National Association of Social Workers, increase in media campaigns, often coupled with coercive messages from family and community members, has created an environment in which lesbian and gay men often are pressured to seek reparative or conversion therapies which cannot and will not change sexual orientation. The Pan American Health Organization, services that purport to cure people with non-heterosexual sexual orientation lack medical justification and represent a serious threat to their health and well-being. The World Psychiatric Association, there is no sound scientific evidence that innate sexual orientation can be changed. It can create a setting in which prejudice and discrimination flourish and can be potentially harmful, is wholly unethical. Members, this isn't an abstraction. We know of dozens of clinics in the Twin Cities and across the state who engage in this practice. Imagine the hundreds of young and vulnerable people who are subjected to this harm every year. Consider Junior's story. In his own words, I was told that the feelings I had were perverse, wrong, and that I was a monster. I felt like a stranger in my own home, and I knew I was not wanted. They would make us practice how to act like a man, and if we displayed any feminine mannerisms, then we risked getting physically assaulted. At night, boys were sexually assaulted by the counselors. Will, I was told we had to figure it out, to erase my lie-based behavior. If not for my faith, I would not be here today. My faith told me I was worthy of love. When I had no one, I had a God that I knew just loved me. As for the long-term effects, I suffer from depression, anxiety, PTSD, and suicidal ideation. These interfere with my everyday life. Imagine living your life after spending crucial years of development being told that you were living in a sin that hurts and threatens others. I knew I just had to survive, and that's what I do every day, survive. Or Roger's story. When I was 14, my father confronted me and asked if I had same-sex attraction. I denied it. Still, my father scolded me for being effeminate, and my church bishop told me to control my mannerisms. When I came forward about my same-sex attraction, the church bishop recommended conversion therapy. I had nowhere else to turn, so like a lamb to the slaughter, I consented to the conversion therapy. At the time, I did not know the negative consequences it would have in my life. I did conversion therapy in 2006 and again in 2008 and 2009. I cried and contemplated suicide to end my suffering because in my mind I was not healing, I was not getting better. I nearly lost my life. He saved my life. Although the effects of conversion therapy played out my life, which led to substance abuse, I was able to connect with an ethical therapist who helped me start healing. I survived because someone reached out to me. So members, I know there's been a lot of drama and angst about this, but I just beg you to do the right thing. I will offer the A28 amendment and request. Mr. President, the A28 amendment is fairly simple and straightforward. It forbids the use of medical assistance funds for providing conversion therapy. It creates a definition of conversion therapy, and it says that no mental health practitioner or mental health professional shall engage in conversion therapy with a minor or with a vulnerable adult. And it forbids anyone to advertise who is offering conversion therapy for remuneration, for pay, to employ any fraud, false pretense, false promise, false guarantee, misrepresentation, false or misleading statement, or deceptive practice when otherwise offering conversion therapy. In other words, they can't accept funds and claim that conversion therapy actually works. I request a green vote.